Yeah. 3-6, mafia.
Whoa, hey, yeah. Whoa, say what? 3-6, mafia. It's going down. Y'all know what time it is. We ain't playing with you. In the club, in the street. Y'all know what time it is. Get ready for it. Oh, man alive. Wait to be wet. Step up, bring it. Yes, sir.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of No BS. It is Season 2 and Episode 16. It feels like an eternity since we were last on the air with you folks here after what feels like, or what has been, a 2-week break due to, again, our Thanksgiving special and, of course, the Thanksgiving break. But, of course, folks, back with you on this Friday, December 4th, 2020. As usual, everybody, it is Trevor Williams and Isaiah Leung alongside yours truly, Callan McClurg, here tonight from the home studios in San Diego. Mr. Williams, good to see you tonight, man. How we doing?
Fantastic. I had wrapped up some assignments for, my semester in the spring, for the fall. So I have one more finals to go, and that's on December 7th. So I'm doing well on my finals. So I feel like I'm in the NBA, taking care of each game and trying to win the best of 7. So, taking care of business. But it's great to be back on the MI6, and it's been like ages since we did No BS.
It feels like a long time, or feels like forever. I agree. Our last show was November 13th, and that was what feels like 3 weeks ago, and it literally was 3 weeks ago, basically. And also, folks, as usual, our good friend Isaiah Leung from the home studios in Fremont, California, also joining us here tonight on the program. Isaiah, as always, man, good to see you. How we doing tonight, man? Isaiah, you're muted.
Callan, Trevor, it's great to see you guys, man. First of all, I want to thank whoever invented the heater because you are truly a lifesaver. Right now, I think it feels like it's 30 degrees right now in the Bay Area. I'm pretty sure it's like 60, but it feels like it's 30. It is freezing out here. Without the heater, I probably would turn into a ice statue right now on the air. So thank you to whoever invented the heater. You are truly a lifesaver. But yeah, it's been a long time since we did this show. I mean, it feels like it's been like almost 10 years since we did the show. I mean, in that span that we didn't do No BS, I think I grew like a small mustache right here. So, I'm gonna be what's his name? Not Ricky Rubio, the guy on the Pringles that has that mustache right here. That's what I'm trying to grow, but it's probably not going to work. Yeah. But I don't know if it's going to work out. We'll see. But Callan, Trevor, in the spirit of the holidays, we have taken dining on the air tonight to another level. Tonight we've got smoked salmon and we've got pumpkin pie coffee. So we are truly bringing in the holiday spirit.
As we are, in fact, just about 2 or 3 weeks away from the Christmas holiday. And of course, folks, as a reminder, but we are now, folks, diving into another day number 5 now of the MI6 Sports Network's 31 Days of Hot Takes. It actually, folks, involves 2 members of our No BS broadcast team. It is Trevor versus Isaiah tonight for the bracket challenge. The matchup, folks, goes as follows. For day 5, it is Trevor's hot take of Baker Mayfield winning the NFL MVP award against a very infamous Isaiah Leung take that we have video evidence of that we will show you later in the program, where he says he would take Luke Walton at the time, would have kept Luke Walton as the Lakers head coach over keeping the king, LeBron James, on the Lakers roster. But again, folks, you can vote live again down below at facebook.com/MI6 Sports for day number 5 of the ongoing bracket challenge. And again, we thank you folks a lot for tuning in and also for voting over the past 4 matchups. And so far, it's been all upsets. So maybe Isaiah can pull off one more upset here and knock Trevor out of the running here in round 1. But again, get those votes and we'll have the results during the final part of the show, and also have that video for you folks that Isaiah spewed that hot take many months ago, it seems like. Isaiah, over to you.
I actually don't want to win this so that we can erase that Luke Walton, LeBron James memory forever. Like, that's why I honestly want to erase that into like all eternity. So, I mean, it would be great if I won, but I mean, if I don't win, that video will be gone, goodbye, and never shown again, ever again. So it's all good.
It depends, though, on how the viewers vote, though. But again, folks, get those votes in. Facebook.com/MI6 Sports for day 5 of the network's 31 days of Hot Takes Bracket Challenge. Some welcoming messages in, guys, from the MI6 faithful. Of course, our good man, Casey King, saying hello to everybody and good evening to you all as well. Glad it's Friday. Looking forward to a nice 3-day weekend and just watched a good hockey game. Arizona State playing Notre Dame. Good to get the hockey fix in. I for sure agree with that sentiment. And also Christy Wilson joining us as well says, oh no, another food reference. Hence why, though, Christy put our at least for the first time, we tried our best putting our warning of no more food talk message on the screen for Mr. Leung. But of course, sadly, he has to show it on the air regardless of what, of course, has gone on. And also a warm welcome to our good buddy, David B. Stotts. Long time no see, but glad to be back. To our good man in Cleveland joining us here tonight on the program. With that, guys, some great news in the NBA for basketball fans out there. The first half, at least, or as the Lakers called it, part 1 of the NBA schedule was released today, early this morning, late afternoon. But of course, guys, it is the first 41 games of the NBA schedule unveiled today. The Lakers, of course, mainly who, of course, I get all my emails from with their press release about this. And taking a look at the schedule, though, Trevor and Isaiah, to me, though, it looks very familiar to me with how we have seen some college basketball conferences, and even for that matter, with me today, getting word of the West Coast Conference schedule for women's volleyball. This appears to be a couple of times, though, guys, where you're going to see a team. For example, the Lakers will play the Spurs, I believe, twice in a row on the road to knock those games in San Antonio or away from home out of the way. And it appears to me, though, as well as March rolls on, we have what appears to be very big emphasis on divisional only play, where the Lakers end the first half of the year in March, facing the Warriors, the Suns, and the Kings in their final 3 games of the season. So, Trevor, obviously, weird times call for weird measures in sports this year. But I do, Trevor, think, though, that the schedule to me looks good. Now, again, perhaps there's a bit more emphasis on back-to-backs due to, again, the nature of the condensed season, again, 72 games only. But I like, though, what direction the NBA is going, because you're looking at maybe a team or teams, for that matter, playing 2 games, what appears to be out of division against the same team twice in a row, maybe a day in between or back-to-back nights. Or very long road trips. And the Lakers, I think, have a 7-game road trip, 5-game road trip through Milwaukee, Detroit, Boston, Cleveland, Chicago, and Atlanta. So I think more so it still has like the regular feel, the regular season, Trevor. But I think, though, a bit more emphasis, though, on getting some of those games further away from where your home city is, kind of out of the way early in the year, though. But, Trev, your thoughts on the NBA schedule format, and also what stands out more so in your mind with the schedule format so far for the first half of the season?
I think it makes sense for them to knock out all the games that are really far away, knock them out early, because at this point in time, we don't know what coronavirus will be like in the spring. But at the same point in time, as we get closer to the end of the season, and if it really gets bad, most of your games are close within the same state, so you don't have to worry about too much of the restrictions, because you're going to, face Golden State, for example, as the Lakers, or face Sacramento. You're still in California, so you don't have to worry about crossing state lines and getting players with COVID. Everyone's within the same state. But I think there's going to be a lot of question marks on how this season's going to go. I personally think there could be a lot of injuries. We've seen in the NFL where star players are getting hurt left and right this year, and backups are rising up to the challenge and replacing it. We could see the same thing happening in the NBA, where star players get injured or they're not ready to be acclimated to the 72-game season, and thus we be losing star players. Maybe LeBron James has another injury, or, Steph Curry has an injury, or Kawhi has an injury because they haven't been playing in so long, or James Harden, just lacing off star players that could potentially get hurt this season. And then is this championship another asterisk since all the star players are getting hurt, since they're not acclimated to this season. So it's going to be really interesting how this season unfolds.
Isaiah, I think Trevor's onto a valid point, though, that I think a lot of us, though, that are basketball fans or sports junkies in general do share the same, perhaps, concern level that this is obviously a bit of a slippery slope for the NBA, because we already have talked about, Isaiah, rumors of maybe star players, for example, LeBron taking a bit longer to come back into the season. Again, Danny Green, before he got dealt from the Lakers, even said, don't count on seeing LeBron in the first month or 2 months of the season, because as I mentioned, we are, once again, folks, and for that matter, Trevor and Isaiah, we are talking about the shortest offseason ever done by a major professional sports league in North American sports history at this rate. So, Isaiah, I think that Trevor's onto some valid points, though. But I do think, though, that even with maybe the concern of maybe some injuries or maybe some guys sit out for the first month, their first 2 months of the season, though, I do like this format, because there seems to be, though, that even though that we're not really, or at least I wasn't a big proponent or fan, though, of them having the regular cross-country travel games to the East Coast to play the Eastern Conference, I do like, though, there's a very quick emphasis on kind of knocking out some early road trips and some early games out of the way. Again, I believe that the Lakers are playing the Spurs back-to-back nights at AT&T Center in San Antonio, or playing the Grizzlies twice at FedEx Forum in Memphis. So I like that idea right now, but I do think that Trevor's right, though. There's still some mild concern, maybe some major concern about guys sitting out or injury problems. But Isaiah, where do you stand right now on the breakdown, but also the format, at least right now in place for the first half of the NBA season schedule, and why?
Oh, well, I completely agree with you and Trevor, Callan. I like how the NBA has it, where they knock out those West Coast to East Coast trip games, and also East Coast to West Coast trip games early in the season. I think that's a good thing, because as Trevor said, we don't know how the pandemic is going to look like come March, April, and into May. So to knock those out early is a good thing by the NBA. I think that what the NBA also I like from the NBA is the fact that, you know, they're playing, you know, like you said, they're playing the Spurs in AT&T Center back-to-back nights. They're playing the Grizzlies at the FedEx Forum, I think back-to-back nights as well. I think that's a good thing, because like you knock those road games out. So when you get into like February or March or in the second half of the season, you don't have to travel from Los Angeles to Memphis or Los Angeles to San Antonio. Instead, you can schedule games where San Antonio like goes on a California road trip where they play the Warriors, they play the Sacramento Kings, they play the Clippers, and they play the Lakers. And I think it'll be better that way. It minimizes the travel, which would minimize the chances of lots of players getting exposed, and also it would minimize the chances of an outbreak happening. So that's why I like what the NBA has done. But I gotta also agree with Trevor. You know, I've been a big proponent of wanting the NBA season to start in like middle January or even in February, because, you know, for the Lakers and the Miami Heat, they're only going to have like 2 months to rest, recover, and get ready for the season. And also teams like the Rockets and the Clippers as well, who played deep into the bubble, they're only going to have like 2 months to get ready. And I don't think that's a good thing, because you just went through like that grind that is the NBA playoffs, and now you have to 2 months later get ready to go without that much rest. And I think you're going to see a lot of injuries during this NBA season, unfortunately, because of that. And also, you know, a lot of this thing isn't being talked about a lot, and that is the teams like the Cavs, like the Warriors, the Atlanta Hawks, teams that their season got shut down when the NBA went on the hiatus in March, and they haven't played again until 2 weeks from now. I think you're going to see a lot of injuries from those teams as well, because a lot of people are like, oh, they have fresh legs. Yeah, they have fresh legs, but they haven't played basketball in over 9 months. So there's going to be a very difficult challenge after a 9-month layoff to get back into playing competitive basketball. And, you know, you could tweak a muscle here or there. And I think, like, unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of that early in the season.
It's very possible, but again, I know it's difficult to you can't predict the future, but I do think, though, that at least that there is a schedule out there, and I think as well it should be reminded as well that it's all been kind of still set or tentative, though, because again, as mentioned, with teams traveling in, traveling out, plenty of hurdles there to jump over, plenty of thoughts, guys. About the NBA schedule rolling in. First, our good friend Angel Berrigan Jr. says, happy Friday to everybody. Of course, Angel, thanks for tuning in. He also writes in, guys, I like how the NBA did the schedule, just like Major League Soccer. Now, again, more so with MLS, though, guys. Even though that the NBA put out 41 games, I believe Major League Soccer did it more of like 8 to 10 games would be released at one given time, and it was more of an emphasis, like I have said, though, plenty of times, was more about conference play or regionalized formats, where more so both the soccer teams in LA, the Galaxy and LAFC, played mainly San Jose or played Portland, Seattle, played Colorado, even Houston a bit. Kind of kept things somewhat regionalized for a majority of the year, but as the season went on, though, they added more and more games that were maybe a bit more further away, perhaps, from Los Angeles, again, just as an example. But I do like, though, that Angel's onto a very great point, though, is that the schedule's kind of been released like Major League Soccer. But again, phase one is, or at least the first part's out. Phase two, the second part will come out later in the season. Casey also writes in, he wanted to clarify a point that I brought up on Wednesday, that the Lakers and Clippers game was going to be a Clipper home game. It's actually a Laker home game for the Lakers on the 22nd. He says, looking forward to seeing the Lakers get their rings in front of the Clippers. I think a lot of us, and I think a lot of NBA fans agree, mostly the Laker fans agree about that also coming to fruition. And also Angel says that the NHL schedule will be tough since they are having or dealing with 7 teams from Canada. I've heard a lot of things, but of course nothing too concrete right now. And also Angel says, I'm also with Callan. Thought that the NBA was just going to play or have the teams play their conference. That would have been the more logical option. But again, who really knows what might, in fact, happen. And also, Angel says, I'm glad that both the Lakers and Clippers can play at the big office, a.k.a. Staples Center, but it'll be weird, minus the fans. And I think it was also a bit rough to kind of see that, though, on Lakers.com, see that giant black banner say, fans are prohibited from Staples Center until further notice. And, man, that's very rough. But, hey, it is what it is, though, sadly, with where we're currently at right here and right now. And Angel also says that they may have to split the NHL between the U.S. And Canada. Again, nothing really too concrete yet still with what they might in fact do. Although we have seen, though, guys, where Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, and even the NBA has moved teams from Canada into the States to play the season. But I think now with just more restrictions being in place, though, sadly, for example, out here in California with more restrictions going in, temporary stay-at-home orders, it might be difficult or more tough, perhaps, to get those teams from Canada to cross the border and play the full season, but we'll see what does come out of it. With that, Trevor, again, we probably not had a chance to look over the entire NBA schedule, but I do think that there's probably some games that probably stand out, though, in your mind for the first half of the year. So, Trev, give us maybe 1 or 2 games that are probably catching your eye as, in fact, the NBA season does get ready to start, though, in just about 18 days.
I think the game that I'm going to be looking forward to is the 76ers against the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be Doc Rivers has to go out and prove himself, though he's been in the East. But what's it going to be like? You're coaching a team that's not Boston, and you're in the East now. How I guess fans are going to receive you since there's no fans with COVID. But once things are back to normal, it's how are people going to react to Doc Rivers coaching the 76ers and going into Boston? Is it going to be a warm welcome? Is it going to be a hostile environment for him? Or is it going to be booing and all that stuff? It's going to be very interesting. Even though Doc Rivers got them a championship, was a well-respected coach, it's just something that you don't really see, that somebody so well comes back to the same division and coaches against a team that you won a championship with. So that's going to be very interesting.
So, Isaiah, Trevor is going to go with any game featuring the Sixers and the Nets, more so, or Sixers in general in the Eastern Conference, more so the Atlantic Division. So, Toronto, New York, especially though Boston, I think, of course, with Doc having, a long tenure there with the Celtics. Isaiah, how about you for maybe some games that probably stand out in your mind, or maybe that involves teams across the board in your mind for the upcoming, at least first half of the NBA season schedule, and why?
Well, I've got 5 games that I'm looking forward to as of right now. So, well, actually, yeah, actually 4 games, not 5, but. So the first game that I'm looking forward to is the NBA Finals rematch on February 20th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time between the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers at Staples Center. You know, these two teams played a phenomenal 6-game series, with the Lakers ultimately being the better team and winning that series and winning their 17th NBA championship. You know, I want to this will be the first time that these two teams face off since what happened back in mid-October, and I want to see how the Miami Heat respond now that Anthony Davis re-signed, LeBron James re-signed. The Lakers got better with Schroeder, Harrell, and Marc Gasol coming in via free agency. And you know Miami's going to be hungry to try to and I know it's only 1 game, but Miami's going to be hungry to try to wipe away all that disappointment from last year. So I want to see how they respond in that game, especially playing against a loaded Lakers team in that finals rematch. The second game I'm looking forward to has got to be the Charlotte Hornets at the New Orleans Pelicans on January 8th. This is LaMelo Ball versus Lonzo Ball, the Ball brothers going at it. It's a sibling rivalry. Definitely going to be tuning into that, especially to see Lonzo guarding LaMelo and vice versa. So that's going to be interesting. The second game, or the third game I'm looking forward to, is the Brooklyn Nets at the Los Angeles Clippers on February 21st. You got Kawhi and Paul George on one side versus KD and Kyrie, 2 guys that are now finally healthy, going at it. These 2 teams are like contending for the NBA title this season. So I want to see Kawhi and Paul George versus KD and Kyrie. And last but not least, it's got to be the Lakers and Clippers on opening night. I think Casey King mentioned it, where the Lakers are going to be getting their rings right in front of the Clippers. Montrezl Harrell ditched the Clippers and went to the other side, or went across the hall and joined the Los Angeles Lakers. So there's going to be sparks flying between these 2 heated rivals. And that game, I think, out of all the games that I've listed, I think has to be number 1 or at the top of my list in terms of the games that I'm looking forward to. But there is one game, however, on this list that I am not looking forward to, and that is the Lakers at the Philadelphia 76ers on January 27th. I know a lot of you guys might be like, Isaiah, why aren't you looking forward to that game? It's 2 teams that are contending in their respective conferences. The reason why I'm not looking forward to that game is because that game is going to be held one day to the 1-year anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant. And the Lakers will be going to Kobe Bryant's hometown to play the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm sure that game is going to be very, very emotional for everybody in the NBA.
And honestly, a very fair observation with that schedule. And, that might be one that perhaps a lot of people perhaps look down upon on the NBA, thinking, what in the world are you thinking, putting the Lakers in Kobe's hometown to play like a year to his, very, shell-shocking death. But at the same time, I'm sure that wasn't factored into the equation due to more so with, again, the very tight, time frame here to get this NBA season started. I really don't have too many games on my schedule, but, more so, guys, with games in general, more so this year, I'm really looking forward, though, to seeing Milwaukee and Miami. That's another rematch I think that a lot of people are probably not overlooked or, have overlooked, though, because, of course, Miami knocks out Milwaukee, but also the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. Does he kind of, in a way, maybe pull a LeBron James, leave a team and go to a team that, of course, or more so pull a Kevin Durant, if he can't beat them, join them sort of thing. So I think we'll be watching those games very, very closely. But I more so, guys, side with Lakers play-by-play announcer John Ireland, who says, when I was a kid, and he even said this a while back on Spectrum Sportsnet, when I would get the paper in the morning and the schedule came out, I'd circle the days the Lakers played the Boston Celtics. And I still feel that way. It's not the same exact way like it was before I was even born, but knowing about the history of these 2 marquee well-known, well-respected NBA franchises. And I know it's not the same with Red Auerbach and Elgin Baylor and Jerry West and, the 08 Celtics or the 2010 Lakers, but it's still probably the best, if not the greatest NBA rivalry of all time. Lakers Celtics, of course, sticks out. Lakers Clippers, but also I'll throw one more in there. Golden State and Phoenix, because of Kelly Oubre Jr. kind of in a way poking the bear that has been the Golden State Warriors, in a way more so, or even more so poking the bear with the Suns, and him being a part of both those sides. So I mean, there's gonna be some drama with a lot of these games, though, but more so for me. And also, I'll throw the Christmas Day slate in there because, as mentioned, 5 games: Christmas morning, Christmas afternoon, Christmas night. You gotta love it. Definitely for sure. But again, folks, if you have any games that you're looking forward to, definitely let us know in the chat box here tonight. Guys, Angel also writes in, go Tampa Bay Raptors. As a reminder, the Raptors, folks, again, due to the restrictions in place right now with the Canadian government having forced to move their games to, I believe, the Amalie Arena, the home of the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, for the season. They'll be playing their games in Tampa, Florida this season. There was some rumors, though, of them playing their games perhaps down at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky, but that was sadly scrapped off of the drawing board. Our man John Mathis, guys, writes in saying, you guys are great. Mr. Mathis, thanks for tuning in, buddy. And, of course, we'll see you on Monday and Wednesday for WST. Angel also writes in, he agrees with Isaiah, a great matchup between the Charlotte Hornets and the team formerly known as the Hornets in New Orleans, because, again, they were there due to, again, the hurricane, sadly, many years ago. Casey King also writes in, guys, 3 teams in Florida should be interesting. Again, you have the Magic, the Heat, and, of course, the Raptors now temporarily playing their games down there in Tampa, Florida. And also, Angel says, agreed, bad timing on the NBA part for putting the Lakers and Sixers 1 year after Kobe's death. If the NBA wanted to make this a tribute night to Kobe, they should have had the game at Staples instead of Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. But again, probably, I definitely agree. But at the same time, there was so many probably limited dates on the schedule because of the timing. What happens if there's games that have to be moved around because of COVID? Again, it probably did not cross the league office's mind, but I do think it's a valid point, though. But I just am not fully sure, though, if the NBA really, I think, in fact, thought things through, sadly, on that one. With that, guys, a very eyebrow-raising story here involving Kyrie Irving, guys, of course, who we know is kind of, in a way, gone from maybe being a fan favorite to probably, in a way, probably cast in people's minds as a villain now because of either, his off-the-court antics about the earth being flat, or now, though, guys, this very, very interesting story, though, that Kyrie Irving, guys, has told reporters today he will not speak to the media at all during the course of this upcoming NBA season. Now, Trevor, I get, though, that there's guys out there. I think the best example, Trevor, is Marshawn Lynch, a guy that did not like having microphones and iPhones and tape recorders and, microphones and phones put into his face to get comments here about things or about, his thoughts on games. I totally get that. But Trevor, at the same time, though, I know that, of course, the media is under a giant, microscope right now because of how I say we very loosely, but more so fellow journalists, fellow news anchors, fellow sports reporters, people that work in television or radio have become under so much scrutiny and pressure, and because of what's gone on recently the past several years, that now this just makes their job that much more difficult. And yes, I shouldn't complain about the job that we all have or that I have or anyone out there that has that's with working press or media. But Trevor, I know, of course, that Michael Jordan was also very well known for not talking to the media at the All-Star game. And you know what would happen? He'd be fined. I think this probably becomes a very, I think sadly, Trevor, this creates a distraction that a first-year head coach in Steve Nash absolutely does not need to have happen in his first time going as a head coach in the NBA. But Trevor, your thoughts and your stance on Kyrie Irving saying no thanks to the media for the upcoming season?
This is going to be really interesting to see. It's going to be, how do you stay away from it? But at the same time, it's like, I know sometimes they may do halftime interviews or, post-game interviews. So you're telling me he may try to skip out on those. And if he's star player of the game or MVP of the game, he's not going to be taking those. So it's like, how do you get the questions you need? Be like, why did he shoot poorly? Or why did he have a great night? You're not going to get those answers. I understand like the locker room scenario, you know, keep the media out of the locker room. Sometimes things go down in there and the media doesn't need a coverage. It's a team atmosphere and the media should not be in those spaces, getting the team fired up for a big game or a big game 7. The media should not be in that atmosphere. I understand we're trying to capture that, but at the same time, these players are trying to be focused and get into the zone. Adding the media there is just another distraction, may mess up their game. So I can understand their point, but at the same time, just answer the questions, be straight to the point, and move on. And just don't, you know, keep adding fuel to the fire to allow the media keep asking questions. So by all means, you know, Kyrie has been all over the place, but if you're not trying to answer the media, just answer the question, be straight to the point, and move on. I think that's the best way to do it and have limited interaction with the media if I was Kyrie in that scenario.
Isaiah, if there's been a market that has been a laughing stock in sports recently, it's been New York and basketball mainly. The Knicks, of course, have been a shell of themselves since the 90s. The Nets have been, in a way, building something great in Brooklyn, again, establishing their dominance, becoming the favorite team now of the New York basketball fan base out there. Of course, the Knicks have been, you know, under a, you know, very bad ownership regime for several years. But now, though, Isaiah, they build something great here with Durant and Irving. And again, it looks good on paper. Maybe not a top seed right now. Again, I think it still belongs to Milwaukee right now with, again, this maybe one last hurrah with Giannis. But now, though, Kyrie, though, just has to, for some reason, just add a distraction that the Nets, and above all else, a first-year head coach absolutely does not need, and that is, I'm off limits from the media. You know, and sadly, you can be off limits, but at the same time, though, when, though, do you have to kind of face the music? I know that we give you, you know, flack for not wanting to come on the program because of Michigan losing or Georgia losing or the Niners sucking. But at least, though, you own up to what you say, though. And now it's kind of like, in a way, this to me feels like it's just another example, I think, of what a lot of people view athletes as: entitled, soft, and out of control, because now you're not going to take ownership for bombing your first 10 shots of a ball game or while your team lost or won the game. I mean, especially, I think, Isaiah, it's going to be very weird, though, or a very interesting situation. Hypothetically, say the Nets somehow, some way can upset the Lakers, win the NBA Finals. You mean to tell me you're not going to celebrate with your teammates, or at least celebrate and even give an interview to Doris Burke or anyone on ESPN because it's like, oh, I had this no media policy? I don't get it. And above all else, it's one thing that a very good team right now in Brooklyn, especially with a first-year head coach, does not need to have right now at this time of the season. Isaiah, your thoughts and your stance on Kyrie saying no thanks to the media and the hard-hitting questions for the upcoming season. What do you got for us?
Well, from Kyrie's point of view, I kind of get it because apparently, and Marshawn Lynch was the same way. The reason why he didn't like talking to the media in when he was in Seattle, you know, when he went to the Raiders, it was totally different. He was being in commercials. He was talking to the Bay Area media. The reason why was because Marshawn, I think, felt like early in his career, he said some stuff and then the media just completely twisted his words and made it into a whole different narrative. And I think this is the reason why Kyrie is kind of, you know, doing this, like what Marshawn Lynch is doing, is because he just thinks the last few years, you know, the media has taken what he says and just completely misunderstood and also completely twisted it. And so from that angle, I kind of get it, but I got to agree with you and Trevor. I just think that with this move, Kyrie doesn't want to take any responsibility, doesn't want to take any accountability for what will transpire in Brooklyn. Like, let's say the Nets lose by 20 and Kyrie is like 1 for 17. You obviously want to talk to him and ask him, like, hey, what happened, man? What happened? But, you know, he doesn't want to, like, take ownership of the situation. So I think that this is just another layer of the drama that's going to be added onto Steve Nash's plate. It's unfortunate. The Brooklyn Nets didn't need it 18 days before the season. But, hey, it's here now, and I'm feeling really sorry for Steve Nash because he needs to deal with, you know, first the comments made by Kyrie saying, hey, you know, we don't really need a head coach. And then KD said some other stuff, and then DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen were reportedly battling on Twitter, Instagram about who could start at center and stuff like that. There's just so much drama. For me, when I look at the Brooklyn Nets, I look at a team that just has a tremendous ego that is all about me. It's like the me game in Brooklyn. And, you know, when you want to win a championship, you have to swallow your ego and play for the team and not for yourself.
Guys, we'll do a thumbs up, thumbs down. We've been doing these every so often, but, you know, eventually with this policy, you know, or this policy, I'll you know, put quotes around it, of Kyrie saying no thanks to the media. Guys, if eventually, though, that it gets to the point where he has to face the music, do you believe that that more so that discipline will come? But guys, yay or nay, though, on the team, much like the Broncos did with their quarterbacks, could it become a team-imposed suspension or team-imposed fine if he doesn't face the media eventually as more time goes on, yay or nay? So everyone but Isaiah is on board for this. Isaiah, give your reasoning why.
I just feel like they don't want to, you know, rub their stars the wrong way. You know, I think Kyrie Irving has, after this season, one more year left, and Kevin Durant as well. And if you guys notice these guys' past history, every little thing that you do that hurts them, they take it and they hold it for years and years to come, and they remember it when it's about time for them to make their decision about when they want to or where they want to play next. So I just don't think the Nets want to rub their stars the wrong way, because if KD and Kyrie leave, I don't really see anybody that's going to want to come to Brooklyn.
Very fair. I do think, though, that the ownership, though, Joe Tsai, who also owns the pro lacrosse team out here in San Diego, this guy's made it a point of emphasis, guys, to be involved with the community, be involved with getting in, basically guys being in front of cameras and stuff like that. So I don't know how long that leash would be in Brooklyn. I know it's two different sports leagues, though, but at least what I've seen from Mr. Tsai, he doesn't really, you know, a lot of things don't fly usually with guys not facing the music or, you know, holding each other accountable. But again, I know it's different sports, but hey, it is what it is. Casey Guys writes in, hell, if the Clippers and Lakers are forced to move or relocate temporarily, the Clippers should go back to Brooklyn and wear the old Buffalo Braves uniforms. They did wear them last season, which I thought was a very nice little touch to it. Also, Christy Wilson agrees that Kyrie is going all Marshawn Lynch on the media. Angel also says San Diego would be a logical temporary site for both the Clippers and Lakers if they're forced to leave Los Angeles temporarily. I don't think so. Only because the Clippers have more of a actual roots here in San Diego, obviously with them playing in San Diego. But there is no way right now, I think, that you'd be able to have two teams from the same market playing in San Diego. I think they would have to move like out of the state more so, because we've heard a lot of rumblings, obviously, with the Niners. Maybe now the Chargers and Rams have to also leave LA because of the ongoing restrictions, sadly, with the COVID protocols in the state right now. But maybe, but I don't see it happening because of the arena here at this rate. Christy Wilson also writes in, Steve Nash and the Nets don't need this kind of a headache. Absolutely, for sure. Angel also writes in, Kyrie is about to ruin the Nets season before it even starts. Also as well, Angel further adds on, Brady is like that, always blowing off the opponent by refusing to shake hands and throwing his teammates under the bus as well. Yeah, that's a very, very valid reason. And also Christy Wilson agrees that the Nets might end up imploding, and the New York media is relentless. They're going to hurt him or hunt him down till he breaks. And I know that you can only do that in certain markets like Cleveland, Golden State, but not in New York. Stuff doesn't fly like that, you know, across the board. And also Angel says the Clippers should be lucky. All the LA media just wants to do is hound the Lakers. But then again, they got hounded though for blowing a 3-1 lead again in the postseason last season. But again, folks, as a reminder, we have day number 5 of our 31 Days of Hot Takes bracket challenge underway. Again, it is Trevor and Isaiah matched up in the matchup here tonight. Again, folks, so we've only had 2 votes so far, so let's keep the votes coming in right now. Again, it's at facebook.com/mi6sports. Again, you are voting for either Trevor saying that Baker Mayfield wins the NFL MVP, or what we will show you later in the show, Isaiah saying that he would have kept head coach Luke Walton for the Lakers over keeping LeBron James on the Lakers roster. We'll have that video for you folks, and again, the results later in the show. But again, folks, keep on voting. Again, we're at a 1-1 tie right now. It's been that way for the past 40 minutes. So we got to get some more votes here. We can't have this end in a tie. So please vote and help us choose a winner. With that, guys, to the NFL, Week 13 of the NFL season getting underway on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday Night Football again. Hooray. But with that in mind, though, Trevor, we know that, of course, Isaiah is a huge homer for his 49ers, and we see that flag above him every time. He's got his NFC Championship champion shirt on tonight. And, of course, he's trying to hold on with every fiber in his body to the hopes and dreams of getting back to the Super Bowl, and also, of course, the Niners getting into the postseason in general. But, again, they're in a very, very good division right now in the NFC North. With that in mind, Trevor, basically Isaiah wanted to know, what percentage do you give the 49ers to make the postseason, more so after their victory last week over the Rams at the final gun at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood?
I personally don't think they're going to make the playoffs. There's too many injuries, too many missing pieces. And even if they get into the wild card spot, it's not going to be pretty for them. Like, their defense has too many holes. Offense has too many holes. I know, Isaiah loves his guy, Nick Mullins, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get them in. They're going to be on the outside looking in. I could see them finishing 8-8. It's very possible, but they're just going to need a lot of help to get in. So I'm going to say it's probably 17% chance of them getting in.
So exact, 17%. I'll go 2 ticks less. I'll go 15% because, as mentioned, there's at least 2 other teams. I know that there's a tie right now, but again, the Vikings have looked good. The Bears have been sloppy. Carolina's around there. So, but more so, I think, though, that at this rate, though, that probably goes to Arizona with how Kyler Murray's played so far. I know he's been beat up, banged up, chewed up, and spit out plenty of times with that shoulder injury, though. But also that there's just too much of a logjam right now. But also, San Francisco's injury woes still, scare me because, like, this whole team has been basically put through a meat grinder all season. We've seen this offense bend but don't break. The defense, though, I think has been their hallmark and saving grace, though. But with too many other teams in front of them right now, and also probably what looks to be a very favorable schedule minus Buffalo on Monday Night Football, I just don't see, though, how they can leapfrog 2 to 3 other teams in that, in the very compacted NFC conference standings right now. But Isaiah, Trevor has 17, I have 15%, but give us a reason why it's going to be 100% guarantee that the Niners are going to make the postseason and why.
Well, I don't say it's 100%. I say it's more like right now for me, it's a 50-50 toss-up because, and that might sound ludicrous right now and cause a lot of you guys to. I hope that you guys are all okay that fell off your chair after hearing me say that. But the reason why I say it's a 50-50 toss-up is what I've been saying on all of our programs. If they can beat Buffalo on Monday, if they beat Buffalo, then I think the 49ers have a legit shot at making the playoffs. Because after Buffalo, you've got the Cowboys and the Washington football team. 2 games right now on the docket that are gimme wins. I think that if they can beat Buffalo, I think they will take care of business against the Cowboys and the Washington football team. That would be 3 wins right there. Right now, the 49ers are 5-6. They would be 8-6 at that point. Plus, they're going to have more players coming back from the injured reserve, like George Kittle and maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. So if they can beat Buffalo, and then I think they will beat the Cowboys and Washington football team. Then I think at 8-6 with Kittle coming back and with some of the defensive players that are hurt coming back, I think they will have a legit shot because they finished the season with Arizona, who I think that this weekend they have Arizona against the Rams. That's going to be a very, very important game. I think whoever loses that game is in a whole heap of trouble. They have the 49ers of Arizona, and then they have Seattle. Just get me to Arizona and Seattle with a chance to make the playoffs, because I think if you could do that, then I think at that point anything is possible.
I really more so think that their season will live on or die if they lose to Buffalo on Monday, because we know that they're good, that the defense has been good though, but can a offense that has been so banged up and ravished by injury all year, do their best to hold off a very good Buffalo team. Again, Josh Allen at quarterback and against very good running backs and a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, though. Can they score enough points to win the ball game? I think they're able to. I just don't think, though, that they have a shot against Buffalo because of how the Bills have played, though, throughout the course of the season. And more so in my mind, their season rides on this game. Like Isaiah said, though, that if they lose this game on Monday, it's over in my mind. I don't see them getting over those hurdles. Yeah, they have some favorable games after Buffalo, but at the same time, though, that Buffalo loss, though, could be very damaging depending on what other teams in their division and also neck and neck in the division, in the race outside the top 7, with Chicago playing Detroit and also other games going on as well. So we'll see how things go. But some more thoughts, guys, real quick. Angel thinks that they have a shot for the 7th spot. See them losing to Buffalo, but they can beat Washington, Arizona, and Seattle. Depending on Isaiah, correct me if I'm wrong, though, but is that game with the Seahawks in Seattle?
It's actually it's at the 49ers home, which is in Arizona now.
Because I was going to say, if it was going to be in Seattle, no chance with the weather up there and also with how the Seahawks play at home. And, of course, they have the Cards one more time and also Washington as well. And also, Angel, I think Isaiah agrees with you that Week 16 versus Arizona could decide the last playoff spot. It's maybe more so for the divisional rate or for the division standings, but probably not because, again, you have to factor in, like, again, Chicago, Week 16, I believe, is playing Jacksonville, I think, on the road. So again, I don't know if it might dictate for maybe for the division title, maybe, but we'll see how things go. And also Christy says, I don't know, Isaiah, you do have to play Dallas as well later in the season. And also Casey says, well, with the Niners, I see them losing games to Buffalo and Seattle. To me, it's possible they can get in as Arizona is starting to fall apart, and Kingsbury is a horrible coach for Arizona. It's starting to show in his mind. Again, I don't see them beating Buffalo or even Seattle. Again, it's a home game again at State Farm Stadium down there in Glendale, but we'll see. And Angel says 9-7, they get in. We'll see how things go. More so, again, you just have to factor in other teams that are still in that logjam right now. Vikings, Bears, Niners, Carolina, even Washington kind of being in that mix right now for the standings right here and right now for the NFL. With that, Trevor, Isaiah had another very interesting question brought up as well in the script tonight, and that was more so talked about earlier today on ESPN, was, of course, the Seahawks have kind of, in a way, been a very, I'd say, good ball club, or if not great ball club over the past 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, and kind of, in a way, have brought themselves out of the pit of mediocrity for a long, long time, back when they were in the AFC West, and now, of course, dominating the NFC West division, and also with 2 or 3 trips to the Super Bowl in their franchise history. Of course, 1 win, sadly, out of those 3 trips, though. But Trevor, more so in your mind, as you look at things right now in the NFC, which team in your mind in their conference could be the biggest challenge to the Seahawks right now, and why?
Biggest challenge, it's their defense has is not stopping other teams and is making all these games really, really close. And we saw with Kyle Murray, he's been throwing it up there, and luckily, sometimes there's a wide receiver in the end zone and they catch it, and the Cardinals win the game. But you can't put this entire thing on Russell Wilson's back to expect to win another Super Bowl. You just can't do that to him. Though you're trying to make him look like he's going to be a league MVP, win it again, and take you to the promised land. But if your defense does not shut teams down, it's going to be so much more hard work on him to be able to do it. And if you're facing teams like, the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, with a guy who's, can manage the clock, it's going to be really difficult to give Russell Wilson enough time to get down that field and score and make a last-second drive. Because when you're facing quarterbacks that are elite like that, it's really difficult for a team to bounce back and easily win this division or get yourself to a Super Bowl picture.
So Isaiah, Trevor, I think, is going with Green Bay to kind of be that team that might be a roadblock for the Seahawks right now. Who do you think, maybe minus your 49ers, that might be the biggest challenge right now for the Seahawks in the NFC?
Alan, Trevor, y'all ready for this? It's the New York Football Giants and Daniel Jones. Russell Wilson and C.
What?
Yes. I'm just kidding with that, but right now in the NFC, if I have to look at all the teams right now, I think that obviously I don't think the Giants are, because I think the Giants are going to get blown out in the first.
Damn it!
I think it's between two teams. It's the Packers and the New Orleans Saints. And right now, I'm going to give the edge to the New Orleans Saints because just unlike the Seahawks, the New Orleans Saints actually have one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think over the last 3 games, they've only given up a combined 15 points in 3 games. That's amazing what the Saints have done. They have a great offense. Drew Brees is coming back. They have Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas at wide receiver, Jared Cook at tight end. Offensive line is playing outstanding football. The defense is playing outstanding football. If Drew Brees can come back in week 15 and be the Drew Brees of old, then I think the New Orleans Saints have the best shot of dethroning Seattle because, like Trevor said, Seattle, they have a great offense with Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and now the newly reinstated Josh Gordon. But it's their defense. If your defense gives up like 40 points a game, then there's no way you're going to win any game because Russell Wilson, he can do a lot, but there's only so much that he can do.
Minus the New York Football Giants take, I agree with Isaiah about both those teams with the Saints and the Packers. However, not having Drew Brees gives the edge in my mind to Green Bay over New Orleans by the quarterback situation. And of course, Aaron Rodgers, guys, is kind of, he's done a lot with a lot of nothing, and he's been butting heads with the front office and with his head coach for a while. Again, they really haven't put a lot of good guys or weapons around him, though, but he makes it work there with Devontae Adams. And again, those great running backs. If the Saints had Drew Brees, I'd give them the edge. But with not having Drew Brees and, again, having Taysom Hill in there right now is kind of that, very, mobile Wildcat-style quarterback, the edge in my mind goes to the Packers because of not having Drew Brees. But I think, though, that very valid points, though, for sure brought up, though, here during this segment. Also, Casey, guys, writes in, Rams and Seahawks battling for the NFC West Division title. Angel says, with the Seahawks, I got to say Wilson, if he gets hurt, the Seahawks are screwed. Big time for sure. And again, I think it's also why he's also in running for the league MVP award. Angel also says the Giants, the NFC East champs at 6-10 on the season. And also Christie says, for a moment there, I thought that Isaiah was serious about the Giants. Maybe the San Francisco Giants have a better chance to win the NFC East division than the actual New York Giants. But again, folks, that's where we're at, though, with that in mind. Isaiah, with that, back over to you.
I was going to say the 49ers, and be really serious about it, but Callan, you said no saying the 49ers, so that's I couldn't say the 49ers. But if I could say the Niners, I would definitely have said San Francisco because of all the people, and listen, this take might be like the boldest take out there, but I know San Francisco's really banged up right now, and I know they have Nick Mullins at quarterback. But all those guys are going to be coming back healthy. Seattle's got a great offense, but the Niners defense has shown in the past that they can shut down that Seattle offense. And the 49ers, if they get guys like Kittle, if they get Hasty and, the wide receivers, if they can get all those offensive weapons back healthy and
Come on, Hasty! Go! First down! Yes! No! Flag! Oh, it's going to be a hold!
If San Francisco can get all their players healthy and they can keep them healthy, of course, then I think they can be a legitimate threat if they somehow, some way make the playoffs.
This is also a PSA to our man Hasty. We want you on the show because Isaiah literally has said your name in every one of his reaction videos that we have shown live on the air throughout the course of the last several weeks and months, for that matter, basically, of the NFL season. Also, some thoughts. Angel says, got to go with Green Bay. They beat the Saints in week 3 on SNF for sure. And also, Casey says, I'll say this right now that every team in the NFC is beatable and has flaws. Whoever comes out of this for the Super Bowl, I don't see them beating the Chiefs or Steelers, but I think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now at this rate. And also, Casey says, replying to Christie, I thought he was serious too, especially when he picked the Broncos to win the AFC West Division title. And oh, by the way, my head turn beat his take in the first ever matchup here of the 31 days of hot takes. Challenge. Again, folks, you can keep voting. We have still have a very low number of votes in right now, so keep the votes coming. Again, it is either Trevor's take, again, a Baker Mayfield winning league MVP against Isaiah, in a very infamous video of him saying that he would have kept Luke Walton as Laker head coach over keeping LeBron James on the Laker roster as the matchup for day 5 of our 31 days of hot takes challenge. With that, Trevor, somewhat right now in some discombobulation and some turmoil is Tom Brady and his new team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Trevor, simple question here. Should Tampa Bay fire Bruce Arians if they miss the postseason, or if they also make it to the playoffs but do not reach the conference title game? Yay or nay?
No, you can't fire him after 1 year developing an offense juggernaut with Tampa. Like, yes, it's going to have some issues. They're not going to have that stellar season saying, oh, this is Super Bowl or bust type of season. No, you got to get them acclimated, get things in pieces set and lined up. Building a dream team in the NFL is really near impossible to do and to be successful at it. And everyone says on the first year, it's like this team is Super Bowl caliber, and it flops and it tanks and people start getting fired and things just fall apart. But if you take the time and give Tom Brady an offensive line, I guarantee you, like, next year, that team is going to be like a first seed, second seed, playoff caliber team, and they're going to control their own destiny. But you got to give Tom Brady the right pieces. You gave him the wide receivers that he needs. You gave him Gronk. You need to give him an offensive line. Spend your first 3 draft picks building up the right side or the left side, or having a nice straight up the center. So get a nice center, guards and tackles in your draft slots, and then, get some nice edge rushers to put pressure on defense. And now you got a good caliber team to make a deep run in the playoffs, and that's what you want. And once you don't have that, and they don't do that this offseason, getting those right pieces, after that following season, he should be fired and get him out of there, because you're not giving Tom Brady what he needs. Even still, you can probably find a replacement quarterback to get that transition started. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to get that offensive line. If you don't, this is going to be a bust, and people are going to get fired and leave this team.
So, Isaiah, Trevor's saying no, and I'm in full agreement because, like I have said, though, so many times about this Tampa Bay ball club, and I said that when we made our predictions back in, September, August, whatever it was, that you can't build a team like this overnight and expect instant results like this. For example, my 2015 Padres, Derek Norris, Will Myers, Will Middlebrooks, Matt Kemp, they were a game below 500, fired their manager, yes, but that led to another 5-year rebuild. It doesn't happen overnight. Even if you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, it does not happen overnight. Hence why I have New Orleans winning the NFC South division, because you can't expect Gronk and Brady to go into, this Tampa Bay team and right away these guys are winning ball games. Yeah, it looked good. But if you can't beat New Orleans, they took 2 L's against New Orleans. That doesn't help the cause out, and also that they also lose as well to KC this past week. But more so, Isaiah, your thoughts here. Should Tampa fire Bruce Arians if the Bucs either don't make the playoffs, make the postseason, but don't reach the conference championship game?
I think regardless of what happens, I think that Bruce Arians is screwed, because I think what right now, there's reports that there's friction between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. And if, Tom Brady really gets sick of Bruce Arians and management has to choose between Brady and Bruce Arians, obviously you're not keeping Bruce Arians, or you're not choosing Bruce Arians over Tom Brady. That's why you shouldn't listen to what I said when I said, I would keep keep Luke Walton over LeBron James, because that never, ever, ever happens, where the coach gets kept over the star player. So I just think that, Bruce Arians, he's had a lot of talent to work with, right? With Brady, with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones. I just think there's way too much talent. And if this team, they don't get to the NFC Championship game, there's going to be a lot of disappointment, and they're going to have to find a scapegoat. And I think that scapegoat, unfortunately, will be Bruce Arians, even though I don't think he should be fired because he's a well-respected, well-accomplished head coach in the NFL. But you know Brady's teams. Every time they fail, nobody's going to blame Brady. Nobody's going to blame the offensive players. Nobody's going to blame the defensive players. They're going to blame the head coach, and they're going to blame Bruce Arians, and they're going to say that, oh, Bruce Arians and Brady, they're having tension, and Bruce Arians is so stubborn. He doesn't adjust the offense to Brady. That's what's going to that's what's happening now, and that's what's going to continue to happen unless the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. And if they don't, Bruce Arians, I believe, will get fired because you're not choosing to keep Bruce Arians over Tom Brady.
We'll see what happens. It's a very, very interesting story, but sadly, I mean, for Tom Brady, probably the greatest quarterback of all time, 2 years in a row, though, guys, having friction with his head coach, especially one with Belichick, where, again, they had a long, great ride there in New England. Now he's going down to Tampa and ruffling feathers down there, but again, we'll see how things do in fact go. Some thoughts, guys, about this discussion. Angel writes in first, I get the feeling that Tom Brady is going to get Arians fired. Casey also says that Arians should not be fired, but I have a feeling that Brady will get him fired. And I think that Arians will be back in the broadcast booth somewhere next season. Angel also writes in, Brady going to Tampa was the best thing for the Chargers as their quarterback is now a unanimous Rookie of the Year. Perhaps. We'll see what happens. And also, Chrissy says it best, though. Brady is a diva. I think we all have learned that post, maybe more so in his latter time in New England. And also, Angel says that he could see Arians being the Chargers head coach if he gets canned. Perhaps. We'll see, though. Knowing that ownership, though, not going to happen. I mean, they don't like to have nice things up there with the Chargers, sadly. Sorry, Trevor, they really don't. Isaiah, over to you, though, exclusively for this baseball topic. Again, the baseball offseason still going on at this rate and at this point in time. With that, Isaiah, your beloved Phillies, though, of course, are right now in the running for a new baseball president or a president of baseball operations. Easy for me to say. It is Josh Burns, Tad Levine, or it is Michael Hill, formerly of Miami. Burns, of course, a former Padre GM and also the Dodgers VP at one point in time. And, of course, Levine, the former or current Twins GM. Isaiah, where do you stand on this move by Philadelphia and why?
Well, before I get into that, Callan, I just want to say something to Trevor. Trevor, aren't you glad that your Chargers didn't get Tom Brady now? I know back in March you were pouting about how Tom Brady, he didn't go to my Chargers. Oh, he didn't go to my Chargers. He didn't even meet with my Chargers. I'm so sad. That was a blessing in disguise. You guys not getting a 43-year-old Tom Brady and his 2-year window now lets you guys get Justin Herbert, who potentially will win Rookie of the Year, and it sets you guys up better for the long run instead of just having 2 years to try to compete for a championship. So Trevor, you should be thanking your lucky stars that Tom Brady didn't choose. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, Isaiah, it would have been nice to get Tom Brady because we could have still got, Justin Herbert as well. And now you get him groomed with a veteran, a seasoned veteran, 6-time Super Bowl champ. And now you got a perfect transition. He didn't need to win Rookie of the Year. I'm expecting Super Bowls, baby. None of this Rookie of the Years. That means nothing at the end of the day. It's all about the rings, my friend. It's about the rings.
First of all, if you guys had gotten Tom Brady, Callan would not have been able to come on air every week and saying the Chargers lose again for the last 6 weeks that he's been doing it. But anyways, to this Phillies topic, I think for the Phillies, Tad Levine needs to be the hire for the Philadelphia Phillies. John Middleton, the Philadelphia Phillies owner, needs to back up the Brinks truck and offer this dude whatever he wants. Tad Levine is one of the top executives in all of baseball right now. He's a very hot commodity in the game. The New York Mets wanted to interview him for the president of baseball ops job this offseason, but they were denied. So for the Phillies to get that opportunity is saying something. Thad Levine is extremely smart. He's very calculated in his decision-making, and he's very adverse in analytics. If you look at all the candidates that are mentioned as finalists, I like Michael Hill. I really do. But as I said before, Callan and Trevor, Michael Hill, we really don't know what his philosophy is when it comes to building a baseball team. Since in Miami, I really don't think it was him that was the primary decision maker for the Marlins. I believe it was then owner Jeffrey Loria, and then Derek Jeter, who was telling Michael Hill what they wanted, and Michael Hill then made the moves happen. He was kind of like a puppet in Miami. So I don't like if he goes to Philadelphia, it's gonna be an unknown quantity of what he's gonna do in building a baseball team. Josh Burns. You know, I know he's been part of the Dodgers front office the last few years, the team that just won the World Series. But like Callan mentioned, this dude has had stops in Arizona and San Diego as the GM and the sole decision maker of the franchise, and he couldn't get it done. And when he was the general manager of the Diamondbacks and the Padres, they were awful. I really don't think that Josh Burns is GM material. I think he's more of an assistant GM. And, you know, he needs a group of guys that are experienced front office members, like what he has in LA with Andrew Friedman, and they had Farhan Zaidi for a bit. Then Josh Burns can be successful, but I think that Thad Levine has to be the hire. If you look at his resume, also, he was part of that front office that took the Texas Rangers to back-to-back World Series. I know they didn't win it, but still they made back-to-back World Series. And then he gets hired in Minnesota, and now the Twins front office is one of the many front offices right now in baseball that has become the motto for everyone to follow. Him and Derek Falvey, the Twins president of baseball ops, they took a Twins team that has missed the playoffs the year before, and they have turned them into juggernauts that they are right now. So I think that he would be a perfect fit for Philadelphia. He knows how to build winning ball clubs. He's adverse in analytics. He is very, very smart. And I just think that if he goes to Philly, I think it will be a home run hire for the Philadelphia Phillies.
We'll see what they do at this rate. But again, of course, still a long ways to go with the baseball offseason right now. Casey, I agree, though. Nobody selling wants to go to Philadelphia as they know they will likely get run out of town eventually. And also, Angel says the 2015 Padres were at best a second wildcard team before they made the genius move to fire Bud Black. Don't remind me. And also, as well, Angel says, I may need Cal to sing the Chargers lose again since they're playing the Chiefs tonight on my PlayStation 4 Friday Night Football League, laughing out loud. I'll see what I can do. Maybe, maybe not. Probably not, because I have a game tomorrow I have to work, actually. And also, Angel says, Jeffrey Loria, the man that killed the Expos and ruined the Marlins. Way to go, buddy. And also, real quick, Casey says, here's a guy that they should consider. Logan White, former director of scouting for the Dodgers, currently assistant GM for the Padres. He deserves a shot. Yeah, we'll see how what they, in fact, choose to do. But again, folks, as a reminder, 31 days of hot takes, Trevor versus Isaiah rolling on, folks. Again, keep casting those votes over at facebook.com/MI6 Sports. We'll have those results for you folks following our Power 5 here tonight on the program. With that, though, guys, we'll go back to our TriCaster view and move on over into our first ending segment. That, of course, guys, is some good old-fashioned pigskin pick'em on this upcoming weekend of football games here, and plenty of games on the schedule here tonight, and for that matter, on Saturday, and of course on Sunday as well. With that, guys, we'll go to the first college game. Again, folks, we picked 2 college games and 2 NFL games on our pick'em schedule. Trevor, first game should be a good one between 2 ranked ball clubs. Probably the only good game on Saturday, though, sadly. 13th ranked BYU visits 16th ranked Coastal Carolina coming up on Saturday. Trevor, who you got?
This is the most interesting matchup I think we're going to see all year. BYU has been bullying teams every second that they have. They've been dropping 50 points on everybody, it feels like. And I think it's getting to their head. I think they're a little bit too cocky, but at the same time, they have come to play this year, and they're trying to make a run at the college football playoffs. But Coastal Carolina, they are like a Cinderella story, and they will come to play. So I think they're going to be fired up. They know they have a chance to do a massive upset. This is like the first time in this school's history to being ranked in the top 25, being close, ranked higher in like the top, 15. Can they keep this momentum going? The players have a lot at stake, and they have a lot of pride. So I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to go with Coastal Carolina beating BYU and giving BYU a wake-up call.
All right, Isaiah, one vote for Coastal Carolina and their very awesome mascot. I can't pronounce it. It's that awesome. But Isaiah, we'll go to you and give us reasons why BYU is going to win this game.
Callan, I think you might want to put that three-way screen up because we might be about to witness some very astonishing stuff here on No BS. Listen, when I look at this game, I agree with Trevor. I think this is going to be the marquee game of the week. All the other games, they're just not really favorable. They're kind of boring. This game was scheduled, I believe, a couple days after BYU announced that their game was canceled, and they just scheduled it on the fly. BYU had to travel quickly to get to Coastal Carolina to practice and be able to play this game. So they're very tired from all that quick travel. And Coastal Carolina, like Trevor mentioned, they're fired up. This is their opportunity to break the ceiling or break the glass ceiling in college football and try to show the college football world that, hey, we're here to stay, man. We came from an FCS conference to now the Power 5. We have arrived. I'm going with Coastal Carolina. I'm going with the upset. Give me Coastal Carolina to beat BYU because it is BYU didn't know they were going to play this game. They find out like 72 hours ago. They traveled to Coastal Carolina. They're not going to be adjusted well. It's at Coastal Carolina. Players are going to be fired up to play, and Coastal Carolina has a very, very good defense that is blitz happy. That's going to be able to shut down Zach Wilson. So even though it's going to kill the dream of BYU making the college football playoff, give me Coastal Carolina to pull the upset and win this game.
I'm going with Coastal Carolina as well, guys, because I think that BYU's got it. I think that Isaiah and Trevor Wright, though, is maybe a little bit overconfident, a little overzealous, and I think that Isaiah shared a photo in the MI6 host chat last night of Zach Wilson doing his best Jim McMahon impersonation of rocking a headband and saying any place, anywhere, anytime. I'm thinking this kid is nothing more, sadly, in my mind, than a Jim McMahon wannabe with how he's kind of carrying himself and kind of in a way, though, fitting the mold, though, of a BYU quarterback. Of course, McMahon, one of the greatest Bears quarterbacks of all time, Super Bowl champ in 85. But I'm going with Coastal Carolina because, as Isaiah said, though, the game kind of scheduled, though, kind of on the fly very quickly. Because, as mentioned, teams looking for games, sadly, because of COVID issues across the board in college football. But I like Coastal Carolina because, for one, they're at home, but also I think you're going to be fired up and motivated to play a school. It's kind of in a way they've been running their mouth, though, for majority of the season because, we beat Northern Alabama. We put 66 points or, like Trevor said, they're putting up 50-plus points, though. And that, again, overconfidence, over-arrogance, cockiness kind of in a way, but also that a lot of the, the whole thing, like this whole, any place, anywhere, anytime motto is kind of already, in my mind, stupid because SDSU here, San Diego State tried to do that whole same thing when they had played. We're supposed to play Fresno State, and their game got canceled because of COVID. They had that same attitude. They went and played against Colorado and got ran all over by the Buffaloes 20-10. So a nice little, hopefully a piece of humble pie heading towards BYU coming up on Saturday. Some thoughts, guys, real quick about this game. Angel says Coastal Carolina is good, but got to go with BYU. Also, Casey says, screw BYU. Damn. Fan base is nothing more than a bunch of stuck-ups. Go Coastal Carolina. Casey bringing the hammer on BYU and the Cougar fan base. And also, Angel says ESPN is rooting for Coastal Carolina. It's much like all three of us on this panel are, because we kind of want to see BYU get the humble pie served on a nice silver platter when this ball game is over, hopefully. With that in mind, Trev, next game is a Pac-12 matchup. Wazoo visits 20th ranked USC, who, of course, guys, has also sadly been plagued with COVID issues over the past week or two, but they do, though, get this game in, though, over the weekend. Trevor, who you got, the Cougs or the Trojans?
I got my Trojan on this game. The Trojans need to make a statement. They're 3-0. And if they win this game, they're 4-0, making that nice quest to the Pac-12 title game. And if they go undefeated, now they're 7-0. You get to that weird question. Do you let the Pac-12 in the college football playoff picture? And do you leave Ohio State out if they can't get into, win the Big Ten championship game or be qualified for it? So that's the question. Can USC continue this hot streak, stay unbeaten, and let the committee decide if they get in or not. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I think USC is going to be able to win this game to have that momentum to get them in that college football playoffs.
All right, Isaiah, one vote for Clay Helton's Trojans over Wazoo and Nick Rolovich. How about you?
This game is at USC. It's at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. USC.
Thank you, by the way, for not saying United. Thank you, by the way, for not saying United Airlines Field at the LA Coliseum, because literally nobody other than TV is going to call it that ever at all.
I mean, yeah, like it's called. I mean, like it's the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum is one of the most iconic place or stadiums here in California. So I got to give it its respect. But it's at USC. It's at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. USC is the better team. Keaton Slovis is a dynamic quarterback, but the only problem is he hasn't looked that good this season. You know what? Give me the Cougs. Give me Nick Rolovich and the Washington State Cougars. Yes, give me Nick Rolovich and the Washington State Cougars to pull off. I'm pretty sure like Trevor and Callan just walked off the set after hearing me praise USC and then literally do a 180 and pick the Washington State Cougars. I know my friends down in Southern California are going to shun me for this, but the reason why I'm going to pick Washington State is because USC, their first 3 games, they've gotten extremely lucky in 2 of their first 3 games. They should have lost to Arizona State. They nearly lost to Arizona. Washington State, they haven't played in a couple of weeks. USC also hasn't played in a couple of weeks. This is going to be a shootout with 2 dynamic offenses, one led by Keaton Slovis, the other one led by Jaden DeLora, the run and shoot versus the air raid. So you're going to see at least 100 passes between those 2 teams on Sunday. And Max Borghi, the dynamic running back of Washington State, is back. I just think that it's going to go down to the wire, and I just think Jaden DeLora and Nick Rolovich and those Cougs are going to pull it off at the Coliseum with a game-winning field goal. Give me Wazoo. I don't even want to go to the comment box right now because I'm pretty sure I'm getting ripped like heck.
Isaiah, I think you have one too many pina coladas. That's all I gotta say. One too many pina coladas tonight.
Is it even safe to come back onto the set after what I just heard? I don't think it is. We're definitely going to give Isaiah a COVID test when this show's over with. I'm going with
the comments, whatever you do.
I'm going with USC, but Isaiah brings up a good point though, is that USC needs to, in my mind, the Trojans are going to win the game, but their start has got to be better than what they've done so far this season. They've had a lot of very slow starts, can't really get the offense going, but I like USC to win this game. Plus, they're at home, though, and I think that they're going to be fine, but I do think, though, that there's a lot riding on this game, though, obviously, as Trevor said, though, with the Cougars and more so as well with the Trojans. Some thoughts here real quick. Casey King writes in, go Trojans, and fight on as well. Angel says USC will blow up Wazoo on Sunday night. And also Angel says no one in LA will ever call it United Airlines Field. Yeah, I think it's United, not American. United Airlines Field at the LA Memorial Coliseum. And also Christy says, oh, goodness gracious, Isaiah's bold take of the night, laughing face emojis. And also as well, Casey says, Isaiah, I think you've had one too many on Washington State. And also Christy says, got the Sasha Banks shades on as well. And that is exactly where we are at. Next up, guys, the 2 NFL games. Trevor, first over to you. We have the Rams visiting the Cardinals from State Farm Stadium down there in Glendale, Arizona. Trev, who you got?
Give me the wheels of Kyle Murray to lead the Cardinals to the promised land to win this game. So I'm going with the Cardinals.
One vote for Arizona. Isaiah, how about you?
Give me the Rams, actually, to win this game because, listen, I think that this game is going to be a very close game. Divisional games are always close. But, Sean McVay, Cliff Kingsbury, they know each other very well. The Rams have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They looked really good last week against my Niners. Arizona's defense is not really that good. So I think that the Rams are going to win this game simply because their defense is going to be able to harass Kyler Murray and make him very, very uncomfortable. And the Rams know they need to win this game because if they lose this game, they will be 7-5. And if San Francisco can somehow beat Buffalo or the Vikings can win and the Bears, if they somehow, some way win, the Rams, they don't want, yes, your Bears, Callan. The Rams, they don't want to fall into, being in trouble territory or the red territory in terms of the playoff race in the NFC.
I'm just going to say if Chicago loses to Detroit on Sunday, I'm going to break Twitter and officially just say enough's enough for the Bears for the season because my goodness gracious. I'm also going to go, though, with the Rams on the road. I know, of course, it's a road game, but, of course, the Rams are going to try to bounce back from that very rough game. And also, this game more so in my mind boils down to the Rams offense. If they're having turnovers and issues like that, again, they're not going to win this ball game, but I think that they can clean up those mistakes. I'll go with the Rams on the road to beat the Cardinals from State Farm Stadium. Also, with that in mind, guys, some thoughts real quick. Angel says, imagine, guys, that the Dodgers change the name of Dodger Stadium to call it Coca-Cola Field at Dodger Stadium. No one's going to call it that, ever. I know, of course, there's money involved with naming rights, but, no one's literally ever going to call it Coca-Cola Field at Dodger Stadium. Isaiah, how about you?
I got a bold idea, Callan. Let's get Fanta Orange aboard, and let's rebrand this network name to the Fanta Orange MI6 Sports Network. No. Let's name it the Fanta Sports Network.
Sorry, but I don't drink orange soda, so no thank you. Also, real quick, Angel says, got to go with the experience, so I'm picking the Rams. And also, Casey says his Rams will bounce back and that Darnold will nail Murray in this ball game. Last but not least, Trevor, for the power, or not for Pigskin Pick'em, I'm getting ready for that Power 5, though. It's going to be a good one, though, is the Bills visit the Niners, but again, from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the Bills. Josh Allen, like I said at the beginning of the year with my bold hot take, I said the Buffalo Bills will get to the AFC Championship game and lose. So this is all part of that campaign. So they have to win it
again.
They have to win this game to make this campaign, to solidify. And like I said, it seems like the Steelers are sitting undefeated, and lo and behold, they can go undefeated to the Super Bowl. Thus, how the Buffalo Bills lose again in the AFC Championship game.
Trevor, why do you have to do that to the good people of Buffalo? They had to sit through 4 straight Super Bowl losses. Now going to go with them losing in the title game.
Why not?
Oh my God, poor Buffalo. I'm sorry to my Bills fan friends out there. With that, Isaiah, give us the reasons why your Niners are going to somehow, some way beat the Bills on Monday from Arizona.
Give me the Niners because the Niners, I believe their defense will be able to contain Josh Allen in that offense. And the one loss that a lot of people aren't talking about is the loss of John Brown. He recently got put on IR, and he's their number 2 wide receiver. So now if you have Stephon Diggs, right, as your number 1, you have Cole Beasley as your number 2. Cole Beasley's not really your number 2 wide receiver. He's more of a 3. So with that loss of John Brown, I think it's going to be a huge loss for their offense. I think San Francisco has been a great they've been great on defense when it comes to the run. And the loss of John Brown just means San Francisco just got to put all their attention on Stephon Diggs. And I believe that Nick Mullins and that offense, as long as they don't turn the ball over, please, Nick Mullins, I'm begging you, do not have one of your worst games against one of the worst defenses in the NFL, because I'm starting you in fantasy in our playing game between me and Steven that is going to decide who gets into the playoffs. So please, I need you to have...
Safety first. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
I need you to have a good game against a defense that is not very good, because I need you to beat the Bills, and also I need you to help my fantasy team win. But I think Mullins will have a decent game. I think they will be able to run the football pretty good against a Bills defense that is like allowing, I believe, 200 yards rushing a game, which is not good at all. And I just think that Josh Allen won't be able to do that much against the Niners, and the Niners will be able to do just enough, like they did last week, to win the game by a game-winning field goal and keep their playoff hopes alive.
I am rolling with Buffalo because Buffalo and San Diego are two of the most tortured sports cities in America, and I feel the pain of the Buffalo fans with the Sabres and the Bills. So I got Buffalo. Plus, I prefer Josh Allen over Nick Mullins as my quarterback as well. But again, folks, it's our picks for Pigskin Pick'em on this Friday. And once more, folks, as a reminder, we're getting close to closing the poll for tonight's bracket challenge. So we're going to get those votes in. And we will go from there, of course, with the final results as time does move on. Some quick thoughts, fellas, as well. With this in mind, Chrissy says about us renaming the network to FSN or the Fanta Sports Network. She says, absolutely not. I don't drink Fanta. Neither do I. That, sadly, Isaiah, is another big fat no about that coming to fruition. Also, as well, some more thoughts at this rate. Angel says, I'm going to hate myself, but I've got to say the Bills. And also he says, let's also not forget that the White Sox went from Comiskey Park to U.S. Cellular Field to Guaranteed Rate Field, nonetheless, as well on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. With that now, guys, we will wrap things up into tonight's Power 5 for the first time in forever.
Персональный спутник.
All right, folks, it is Power 5 time on this December 4th. And, of course, folks, we're trying our best to get into the holiday spirit. Of course, it's not the best, of course, with it being a ongoing global pandemic and crisis. But with that, though, we're still trying our best to bring some holiday cheer to the network here. And with that, we bring you folks our Power 5 tonight. And tonight's topic is Christmas songs for the first Power 5 of the month of December. Trevor, we will start with you with your Power 5, Christmas music and Christmas songs for the holiday season. Go for it.
I personally wish the MI6 would have a holiday album so I could put, my favorite so I could put my favorite Isaiah songs on this list. But sadly, we do not have a Christmas album just yet. But my number 5, It's All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey. Obviously,
oh my goodness.
It should be one, but it obviously should be one in some people's eyes, but it's overplayed and it just needs to be knocked down a pedestal. So I got some better classicals.
Thank you.
On top of this list. Number 4, it was a toss-up. I used to have It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, but I scratched that last minute. But I'm going to go with Santa Baby. I just love the basses going boom, boom, boom on that song. I just love it, and that's why I had to replace it in that sense. Number 3 is Feliz Navidad. It's a great song to dance around in the kitchen to as you make Christmas cookies and get in that Christmas spirit. Number 2 is Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. When I was younger, I used to dance around the Christmas tree, and that song was on. Great childhood memory, great, flashback. And I used to have a train that goes around the tree. So, add that nice, little rock around the Christmas tree in that sense. And number 1 is my favorite. It's Sleigh Ride by Leroy Anderson. I played it in high school all 4 years. It was a Christmas tradition, and I just love the bass line because it had like the NBA going dun 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 dun, and that's why I ranked it number 1. I threw a little nice sports into it, and that's what it basically was for that bass line in one part of the song. That's why I like that song so much.
A great way to blend the Christmas holiday into the NBA, again, with the Christmas Day schedule coming out a couple of days ago. And again, the Lakers highlighting that Christmas Day schedule against the Dallas Mavericks on Christmas Day. With that, Isaiah, what do you got for us with your Power 5 Christmas songs?
Callan, I think you might want to keep that three screen thing up so that we could catch everybody's reaction if I see something ludicrous, and then people will walk off the set. But I'm gonna start with number 5. I got Jingle Bell Rock. Every Christmas it is played. This song is played. It just, when you hear it, it's like, yeah, Christmas is finally here. So I got that as my number 5. Number 4, I would say I got It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, because when you hear that song also, it's also like a signal that Christmas is here. That's number 4. Number 3, I gotta go with the Chipmunk song from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like, I love that movie. That's one of my be thankful I didn't put that at 1, by the way. I was considering putting that as 1. But I love
thought we were
that.
going to put pumpkin pie as number 1, and we're talking about Christmas music and not food.
But yeah, the Alvin and the Chipmunk song is my number 3. Number 2's got to be Feliz Navidad. Like Trevor said, the beat of it is just like, I love the beat of it, and it's so good when you're dancing around in the kitchen making cookies. And number one will cause all of you to walk off the set. It is All I Want for Christmas.
Here's you, here's Matt, there's you, there.
All I Want for Christmas is You by Mariah Carey. I sang this song in my choir class back when I was a senior in high school. I had a performance. I even did a solo part one time. I'll try to find the video of that later on. But that is one of my favorite songs. Every day, like ever since the start of December, I have been playing that song on my YouTube TV, just listening to it. It just brings the joy of Christmas.
I think we lost Callan because of your number 1 pick.
Oh,
The only time that Mariah Carey ever becomes relevant is around this time of the year. Unbelievable. Mine is very bland and boring, like a lot of my Power Fives are, guys, but I'll keep it short and sweet and to the point. One that was not mentioned that I'm very surprised was Here Comes Santa Claus. That's my number 5 mention. Gene Autry, I think, did one of the more notable versions of this song back when he was still alive and owning the Angels back in the 60s. So I'll go with that one at 5. Feliz Navidad is at 4. I sung a part of that, too, when I was in 4th grade. I would be the MC for the school holiday concerts, and I would be introducing all the classes, and then we would all go on stage and sing this when we would close out the night. Rockin' on the Christmas Tree is at number 3 for me. I like that one. Also, one that was not brought up, guys. Very surprised about this one. But number 2 for me is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's always on CBS every first week of December, and obviously, I think it's an all-time favorite. I think Isaiah, to dethrone you of Mariah Carey, number 1 for me. We'll probably have you guys leave the set, though, as well. But, guys, number 1 for me, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC is probably number 1 for me throughout the course of the holiday season. So we have 2 right there with Mariah Carey and then NSYNC, because I think that theirs has also kind of gotten popular again recently with the holiday season. But that, folks, is our Power Fives for the Christmas time for music. Isaiah, back over to you. What do you want to add?
Couple things. Number 1, I want to add an honorable mention on my list. Last Christmas, I sang that song in choir class as well. It's a really good song. And number 2, Callan, this is how this is how you know how bad I am when it comes to music. Is that song that you listed? I've honestly never ever heard of it. Like, I'm pretty sure if you could give me the tune, I could probably maybe have heard of it, but I don't think I've ever heard of that song. That's why when you were saying it, I was like, huh?
I think sadly, I think, Trevor, it shows your age and Isaiah's age because of NSYNC not being around as, when they were when I was younger and things like that. So I'll have to send Isaiah, maybe Trevor too, but more so Isaiah, some links to that. With that, guys, some Power Fives that rolled in from the viewers in regards to some music. Christy Wilson first writes in, Jingle Bells was not even mentioned, I think, by any of us on this panel. That's at 5 for her. The Nat King Cole version of the Christmas song at 4. She has Mariah at 3 with All I Want for Christmas Is You. Blake and Gwen at number 2 with it, You Make It Feel Like Christmas. And number 1, the GOAT, Bing Crosby, with White Christmas at number 1. Very great there. Also, Chardol wrote his in. Sleigh Ride at number 5. Mr. Grinch at number 4 chimes in. Again, one that was not really brought up here. Chardol at 3 has Holly Jolly Christmas. I think Isaiah tried to make a connection to that on Tuesday. I think it said it was a holly jolly time on the night shift on Tuesday. Also, Chardol says at 2, Run, Run, Rudolph. So pretty close with that. And also number 1, he also has Last Christmas. And Christy also says that her honorable mention is also rocking around the Christmas tree. I usually say we're dunking around the Christmas tree when there's pro basketball on Christmas morning. Angel lists his from 1 to 5, but we'll go in order. From 5, Christmas wrapping, to the White Christmas from Bing Crosby. Save the best for last. Christmas time for the Peanuts King, and number 1 at Feliz Navidad, and also as well, I made Angel leave a set. Lip sync. That's it. I'm out. Good to know. Also, he says, I remember as a kid, I got a cheap knockoff Transformers off Shockwave that actually played radio, and the first song that played was Feliz Navidad. Beautiful and great to know right there. But again, if you have your Power 5, folks, again, give us your Power 5 Christmas songs for the holiday season. We'd love to hear those for you, or from you, I should say, as more time or as our next program comes on, because we're going to try to keep all of our Power 5s Christmas themed throughout the month of December here throughout the course of the next couple of shows. With that, guys, we'll now wrap things up for the night and for the weekend and go on over and into tonight's final thoughts. Time to wrap things up here, folks, on this Friday in episode 16 of the of No BS. With that, though, guys, before we actually get into final thoughts, forgot about this earlier in the show, but we were going to discuss this. Also, folks, in the NBA, they did unveil the uniform designs for all 30 teams. Now, again, folks, we've seen Nike kind of in a way do a very insane takeover, basically, of all of the uniforms that are being worn by the teams, obviously. And of course, guys, every year, though, I think my personal favorite jersey of any franchise is the new city jerseys, where, again, they do a lot of civic pride or city pride that goes with it. Here's a shot, folks, of all 30 jerseys on screen here. We have Atlanta, Brooklyn, of course, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, and the rest of the gang and cast and crew here. I think, guys, we all agree, though, that every year there's always great designs, okay designs, and then some just very bad designs. And again, these are more so, folks, based off of either important things in city history or former players or civic pride more so. Trevor, as you look about this, give us maybe the good, the bad, and the ugly of the NBA city uniforms in your mind.
I personally love the Miami Heat Vaporwave. It's so beautiful, and it just fits the team's personality. I hope they wear this jersey from start to finish, and we see it appear in the NBA Finals if the Heat can make it that far. The worst one, I gotta say, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Come on now. You can make this jersey look freaking awesome, but you don't do it. It's very basic, very bland. And then I guess the neutral one is Boston. Boston has that classic green and white, but at the same time, it feels like I'm looking at like the 1960s Boston Celtics jersey in my eyes. The very big blocky text and then just the number. There's nothing to it. They could be very creative in it, but they choose not to. I understand when you have a great historical franchise, you don't change the uniform as much. Hence, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, those
or the
teams,
Chicago Bears
or the Raiders. So it's like, you don't really change those uniforms and people still love them. So that's where I'm neutral with Boston in that sense.
By the way, folks, the design of the Celtics jersey is supposed to resemble the 16 or 17 championship banners in the rafters at the Garden in Boston. So that's why it looks so bland and boring. They look like the banners that are actually hanging there that says Boston Celtics 1967 or 68 NBA champs. With that, Isaiah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Give us your good, bad, and ugly, and perhaps neutral thoughts on the NBA city uniforms for the season.
So I would say I would go with the great one, because there is one right there that stands out all over.
Let me guess. It's the Lakers.
No, it's the Phoenix Suns one. The one that says the Valley right next to the Philadelphia jersey. It looks like, from what I'm looking at, it looks like you have the the city of Phoenix right there, and it looks like the sun is setting right. It's like the sun is setting in the background. It looks super cool. I mean, when I first saw that on Twitter, I really wanted to go get myself one of those jerseys because that looks amazing. And I would say another one that looks pretty good is the Indiana Pacers one. It reminds me of the Reggie Miller days with the pinstripes right down the middle. So I like that one. I would say the bad is probably the Boston Celtics one. Like Trevor said, it just looks very weird. It looks very bland. It's their championship. It literally looks like they are wearing their championship banners.
That's the purpose though of that jersey is that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't really like that look. I mean, why do you need to look like you're wearing your championship banner when you're probably not going to get one in the next 10 years? And I would say the ugly one, it's got to be the Clippers. Like, I never liked the Clippers switching their uniforms to that Los Angeles lettering, and with the black and the white. I never liked it. I liked the old one where they had the old Clippers logo when Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan were there, with the white, the blue, and the red. I think that's more Clippers colors instead of the black and the white. It just looks very ugly, and it looks like the Brooklyn Nets.
These are all, I think, good. Some, again, could have been better, but for me, the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The great for me, it's got to be Miami. Miami has done these Miami Vice colors the past several seasons. And whether it's the hot pink, it's the blue, it's the black with the pink lettering. Not just that, though, guys, the floor that they go to match the jerseys I'd love to see a half pink, half blue court at American Airlines Arena next season. So I'll go with great with Miami. The good, though, I'm going to go with Memphis because Memphis has a great tribute, though, to their days in Vancouver. They have like the whole Native American style neckline, the under panels on that. Also a good one for me, I got to go with the Warriors because not usually, guys, do teams leave a market and pay tribute to that old market that they once played in. Now, the Clippers did this, though, a couple years ago when they had their 40th season, I think, in L.A., and they wore a blue jersey that had Clippers in orange or white with orange trim. And they also broke out the nautical flags that actually spelt out, I think, LAC. But when they were in San Diego, they actually had the flags, the alphabet for the Navy, basically, and for all the ships that spelt out, I think, San Diego Clippers with all the flags. And I thought that was a good touch, though, when they were in San Diego. So I'll go with Memphis and the Heat. But also the Warriors because, again, not often do teams actually pay tribute to where they once were. Again, the Clippers did that with the Buffalo Braves this past season for their 50th season. Again, San Diego. And, of course, the Warriors saying, yeah, we play in Frisco, but we're not going to forget about the fans in Oakland who were there with us for a long time. Also a good one, I know it looks stale, but Cleveland. As someone who listens to a lot of classic rock and roll music, and you're doing a full-blown tribute to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the rock and roll roots in Cleveland, and you literally have certain letters that look like band posters. Like, for example, I looked at it very closely. If you look at their jersey online and you look at the Cleveland watermark, the letter D is right off of the Pink Floyd The Wall album. So I also like that one as good. The bad, Minnesota, because, again, it's more so black. You're abbreviating, you're sitting in. There's only two cities, I think, in the NBA that have the right to abbreviate their market, Phoenix and Philadelphia. That's it, that can do that. The ugly, the New York Knicks. What in the world are you doing this, circle thing? It says New York Knicks, city never sleeps and all that. And one more for bad, Sacramento. They took like 5 components of different uniforms and put them all in one. You're talking about a checkerboard print on the side panels. The baby blue and red is back, though. I dig that. But there's too many moving parts for one uniform for me. And also one that I'm intrigued by is Dallas, because there's something about there being lore behind Pegasus the horse being like the guardian and savior of Dallas. And they literally, folks, put Pegasus wings on the side of the jersey and the shorts. I dig that a lot. I'm very intrigued by that. And Trevor, how do you not say the Magic going back to the great days of Penny Hardaway and T-Mac, but it's all in orange, though?
It's not the same. It's supposed to be blue. Give me some nice fancy baby blue. Or, maybe be like Miami and have like, a nice vaporwave pattern to it. But at the same time, it's Orlando. It's Disney World. Throw some Disney related something to it without getting copyrighted. Come on now. Give me some hocus pocus or a top hat and a cane. Come on now. Give me that magic. And there was no magic.
Yeah. Sadly, they ran out of magic making their uniforms. And one more, got to say the Lakers. Again, they're doing the Lord series where, again, they've had an NBA or a Laker great. Again, of course, Kobe with the black Mamba jerseys. Shaq did the other gold jerseys. Magic did the pinstripe purple. And now, of course, the late great Elgin Baylor, marking the first time that the Lakers came to LA from Minneapolis with the baby blue, the silver, and the white. Has got to be in there. And I think one more maybe. I also am intrigued by Charlotte going with that mint green because Charlotte was the first home of the U.S. Mint Department for currency. I really dig that as well. So again, some very good, again, some good, some bad, some not so great by the NBA. Some thoughts though, guys, about this real quick that did pop in across the time that we were looking at the jerseys. Angel writes into first say with Christmas music, we may need a top 25. Tough to just pick 5 songs. Again, I agree with that as well. Some thoughts, guys, about the jerseys. Christy says, really like the Lakers one. Again, the Lakers paying tribute to the great Elgin Baylor with their first year in LA. Again, they were blue and white and silver when they first came to LA from Minneapolis. Angel also says, like most of the city uniforms, though, but since when did Milwaukee become the Cavs? The blue jerseys look like the 1994 Cavaliers. Kinda, but not really. I get your drift, though, Angel, but not full-blown with that, sadly. Christy also says the Heat one is really cool. Miami has done this, I think, very well over the past several seasons. Again, the hot pink, the blue, the black, whatever it might be. Again, but major props to Miami for those kick-ass uniforms. Angel also says his top 3. The Lakers nod to their first year in L.A., the Clippers Grand Theft Auto tribute, and also the Spurs bringing back the Fiesta colors from 1997. Definitely like that as well. Also, Christy says, not a big fan of the Bulls or the Clippers, very blah. Well, the Bulls is a bit interesting. Reading about what they did, though, it's more so a tribute to the Chicago Theater, the famed Chicago Theater and all the lights in downtown, but also there's a lot of gold lights on that sign where it says Chicago Theater. So that's why they did that with gold and red trim, but also they have all these little slogans in the left of the jersey, the left part of the jersey, and it reads "No Little Plans," which is the motto of the city after it burned down during the Great Chicago Fire. So there's something behind it, though. I know it looks a little bit blah, but it does have some meaning behind it. Also, Angel says the Clippers tribute to is to Ice Cube and the LA Raiders. I would probably disagree with that because Cube is a Laker fan, and also I don't think you want to realign yourself with the LA Raiders or the LA Kings with Gretzky in the early 90s. And also Christy says, and also as well, she says that the Mavericks one is cool again. I like the tribute to Pegasus, but I still want to know more about what's the whole deal with Pegasus being like this folk hero in Dallas city lore. Chardot gave us plenty here in his paragraph. He says that his best uniforms in his mind are Miami, LA, which one though is the only question. Golden State, the Nets. Now, the Nets, though, with the tie-dye is really good, though, with them bringing back the tie-dye from the late, I think the 90s, roughly, when they were in New Jersey. The Jazz, the Nuggets, the Pacers, and the Suns, along with New Orleans, Detroit, and Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the Nets. Dallas, and also the Magic as well. And also the ones that are the worst in his mind are the Wolves, agree. Boston, agree. Clippers agree, and Sacramento. I wouldn't say it's the worst, though, but it could have been done a bit better. And I do think, though, that I've heard some rumblings, though, that the Kings, though, guys, might be going back to the red and baby blue full-time, I think, sometime soon. But we'll see how things do pan out. With that, Trevor, we'll now go to you now for your final thoughts for tonight's program after all that was said and done.
I have to say, I'm surprised that no one said, baby, it's cold outside as a Christmas.
I wonder why.
As well as, the Heat Miser and those, Christmas songs from the TV shows. Like, those were one of my favorites. I'm surprised no one said any of those. And even the Polar Express, I think Hot Chocolate song was always a fan favorite of myself. But I think it's great that we were able to be back in the swing of the holiday spirit of Christmas, as well as the holiday spirit. It's fantastic to be back on the show. And I can't wait to see how we finish this year and what kind of special events we do as the new year comes rolling around. So stay tuned for that, and, enjoy your holiday season and stay safe this year.
Definitely, for sure. Isaiah, over to you for your final thoughts for tonight's program. What do you got lined up?
Well, before I get into my final thoughts, I want to take the time, as usual, to thank the fans for tuning in. I want to thank Angel, Shardo Gupta, Christy Wilson, as well as, Casey King. Don't want to forget anybody.
I believe that is everybody, it appears.
John Mathis as well tuning in, and also David B. Stotts from Cleveland, Ohio, tuning in. Thank you guys so much for the love and the support. We really appreciate you guys always tuning into our programs, and also, just flooding our comment box with excellent comments and great questions as well. You guys doing that makes the program even more fun because we love the fan interaction. So thank you guys so much. My final thoughts is actually I want to answer a question that ESPN threw out on the jump today that we couldn't get to on tonight's program, and that was, now that all of the Ball brothers are in the NBA, with LiAngelo in Detroit, Lonzo in New Orleans, and LaMelo in Charlotte, which one will have the best career? And my response to this is, if you're talking about in terms of accolades, I believe it's going to be Lonzo, since right now he's on a better team than LaMelo and LiAngelo. Pelicans got Zion, Brandon Ingram, Eric Bledsoe, Josh Hart, and the Hornets, they're rebuilding. They got LaMelo, they got Gordon Hayward, but they still got a long way to go. Detroit, they're on the rebuild as well. So I got to go with, if you're talking about accolades, I got to go with Lonzo. But if you're talking about who has the better career in terms of stats, I got to go with LaMelo, because I think he's the better player than Lonzo. He's a better passer. He's a better scorer of the basketball. So I got to go with LaMelo in terms of statistical categories. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys tune in the next few weeks. We've got a lot of stuff lined up for you guys. I'm gonna let my guy Callan make the announcement of the special guest that we're gonna have next week on the show, and also of the upcoming announcements that we've got regarding the holiday season.
With that, though, folks, we are shutting or closed off the poll, though, for tonight's results. But before we do that, we do want to, I've been teasing this video all night just to get this out there. With that, though, folks, here's what you were voting for in regards to when we said that Isaiah would have taken or kept Luke Walton over LeBron James. We'll let Isaiah explain what he was talking about with this video clip. Enjoy.
If someone put a gun to my head and said, Isaiah, choose between keeping Luke Walton as head coach or keeping LeBron James on the Lakers, you know what I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose to keep Luke Walton as head coach over keeping LeBron James. That's right. Luke Walton is a better asset to the Lakers than LeBron James. Luke Walton is the guy I would choose over LeBron James because Luke Walton is a brilliant young coach. The reason why the Lakers have been bad under Walton is because of several reasons. Number one, the Los Angeles Lakers have really young players that are still developing and learning how to win. Number two, the Los Angeles Lakers front office, whether it's Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak or Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka, they have been total incompetent. They haven't put Luke Walton in a position to succeed. They haven't given Luke Walton any players that fit his system. All these players that signed with the Lakers that Magic signed have been awful. JaVale McGee, Michael Beasley, Rajon Rondo. They don't fit the up-tempo ball movement, Golden State style of play that Luke Walton runs in LA. So yes, and LeBron James is old. The guy slacks off on defense. The guy that gives no effort and hustle whatsoever. I would rather take, if I had to choose between keeping Luke Walton as head coach or keeping LeBron James, I would keep Luke Walton 100% of the time.
Isaiah, before we unveil the poll results, can you please explain yourself to the viewers out there?
Just why did I do that when I was younger? Listen, as probably every Laker fan out there back, I think the year before last year, we really wanted the Lakers to win. Luke Walton was a talented head coach coming over from Golden State. LeBron James coming from Cleveland. We thought we had that great ball club that we needed to, probably not win a championship, but at least make it to the playoffs and end that, I believe it was 7-year drought that we had in LA. And, the season unfortunately didn't turn out the way we wanted to. LeBron James got hurt on Christmas Day, missed a whole bunch of games after that. And, the Lakers just had a bunch of injuries. Luke Walton showed his incompetence. Magic showed his incompetence by not being able to get players. And I was just fed up, man. I was like, I thought that Luke Walton deserved better than how he was treated by the Lakers. And I just, lashed out, and that's pretty much how you got that reaction video. It was just all the frustration that had been boiling over from that disastrous season and all the rumors that had been floating around like, oh, LeBron James is backstabbing Walton and stuff like that. I really wanted Walton to succeed. But, those words, even though at that time, it wasn't just me that was saying all that stuff. You had ESPN and all those other guys or all those other networks saying it. But those words are going to, like President Franklin Roosevelt said, those words are going to live in infamy forever. And I will never be able to live that down now that Callan and John Alcorn and everybody else in that on this network has gotten a hold of that video. And it sucks, man. But, hey, you got to live with what you said. And you know what? I'm going to live with what I said. Since the Lakers, LeBron James came back this season or last season more focused, more fired up, ready to go, and he brought us a championship. So, hey, the Lakers won a championship after all those words were said.
Isaiah, Christy said it right. You'll never live this down. But with that, though, folks, again, for day 5 of our bracket challenge, we again ask you which one would move on. Would it be Trevor saying that Baker would win the NFL MVP, or Isaiah's infamous Luke Walton over LeBron James video that, of course, we just showed you? Sadly, Trevor, goodbye, buddy. 80 to 20% in favor of Isaiah. It wasn't even close.
No.
In favor of that. So, Isaiah, you win, and you're moving on to the next round, buddy. How do you feel?
I feel like I lost. That's how I feel. I feel like I lost. I want, for all of the takes that I have or moments that I have on this bracket, I wanted this to be the one that would get eliminated in the first round because of how bad it is. And how if it got eliminated in the first round, then that video would be gone, goodbye, and into the black hole and never seen again. But unfortunately, the not just the viewers, but I guarantee you some of the people here on our MI6 Sports Network that want to spite me purposely voted for that just to get that video to live on in infamy forever.
So we've seen it. And also, folks, by the way, per my calculations looking at our bracket, this is our 5th day of 31 days of hot takes. We have had 5 straight days of upsets. That was 25 over 8 right there. So, Trevor, yeah, so you still have a couple more moments here, man, but that's 8 losing to 25 right there, my man.
It's not pretty now. My brackets are not fair. I should have told you to stop the count before it even started, Callan. Give me a fighting chance.
Excuse me, that was number 4 losing to 29. So, Trevor, you were 4 and you lost to 29.
These were randomly shuffled. My takes are not that rated high. They're like at least, I want to say, like top 15 or no, bottom 15. They're not even top 15.
Trevor, you want to file a lawsuit, buddy, like I did during the first day of the challenge? You want to have another lawsuit floating out there?
It's 2020. We have 5 upsets. I think we're going to get some more upsets at this point. So, just hunker down and just keep going with the upsets, people, because we're on bracket busters now.
Just
Callan,
like March Madness.
It's been 5 days. I want to get an update on how my lawsuit has been working out in the or the lawsuit that I filed to try to overturn the. I want to see how's that lawsuit going so far.
Isaiah, have you tried to take it up with our HR department?
Sadly, Isaiah, it's been thrown in the trash. It's not valid because this is all voted on by the viewers. We have no involvement from inside the network. You may think that, but no one out here has been voting, so we'll see how things go. But yes, folks, 5 days in a row. And honestly, now that when I think about this, 5 days in a row, though, guys, of upsets, that does tell me that the viewers are, in fact, voting. We may, in fact, have some of the guys voting, but more so it's the viewer interaction weighing in. So, Isaiah, you can't blame you losing to the 32nd seeded moment on me voting for me or Trevor voting for me or the host voting it. So, no, the lawsuit's out the window, sadly, my friend.
I'm very, very disappointed, Callan. Very disappointed. I might need better attorneys to represent me in court.
No, there are no lawsuits. There's no going back because I have the hard copy of the bracket right here, and it's all in pen, and it's not being changed. So it's not going to be reverted back. So again, folks, as mentioned, Isaiah defeats Trevor tonight. Isaiah has maybe another chance to have another win tomorrow on the night shift when he again faces off with Ryan Schreiner for the second time in a matter of programs. It'll be tomorrow, folks, on the night shift at 10 o'clock Pacific time. It'll be 13 versus 20. Matthew Stafford being a top 5 NFL quarterback from Ryan, facing off with Isaiah, and the James Wiseman draft day reaction will be in the matchup tomorrow. So, Isaiah, you go from probably one all-time low with Luke Walton, now another all-time low with your draft day reaction when the Warriors selected James Wiseman.
Gosh, how many like hot takes and moments do I have on this? It seems like almost every day I'm like on the bracket.
My question is, why is Isaiah's takes ranked so low? It makes no sense.
Because when we originally did this before he signed off, though, it was going to be the top 16 in one part. We were trying to make it like in college basketball, 1 through 16. The top 16 were all of the hot takes. The bottom 16 were all going to be the moments. And we thought instead of doing that way, let's just do hot take versus moment. So that's why all the moments are ranked so low as opposed to the hot takes. So that's where we're at right here. But again, folks, Isaiah knocks off Trevor. In case you're wondering, folks, about the upcoming matchups here real quick. Coming up, folks, on Saturday's mention, Ryan Schreiner saying that Matt Stafford is a top 5 quarterback against Isaiah in his draft day reactions on Saturday. Then, folks, on Sunday, Shree, in his only one from his bracket, saying that Tua Tagovailoa is basically Johnny Manziel 2.0, but without character issues on or off the field, goes up against both me and John Mathis walking off the set, our first program here on WST, when Isaiah had told us that Lamar Jackson was the top number 1 ranked player in the NFL, which, of course, folks, has led us now to this new gift we have right here. So Shree is up against that moment on Sunday to round out the week here of coverage. And also, folks, as a reminder, we have one more guest coming your way on WST coming up this upcoming Thursday at 5:30 Pacific time. That is 49ers Sports Illustrated reporter, the man himself, the infamous man himself, Grant Cohn, who, of course, folks, put together that very, very cringeworthy highlight reel of Mike McGlinchey, the Niners right tackle. Isaiah, can you fill the viewers in about Mr. Cohn?
So Grant Cohn, as Callan mentioned, is the 49ers reporter for SI. He has a YouTube channel, and he puts out videos about the 49ers every single day. Lots and lots of videos, actually. And the video that Callan is referring to was, I think Mike McGlinchey in his press conference was like, yeah, I'm one of the best tackles in all of football. And Grant... Grant Cohn decided to roast the heck out of the guy by putting a montage of all of his worst moments this season, including a video of him trying to block a linebacker and completely whiffing to the song Amazing Grace. He will be joining us. And oh, by the way, guys, if you guys think that was the best, go check out Grant Cohn's YouTube channel, because today he released a montage of all the 49ers offensive linemen's terrible blocking with another great song. So go check it out. We'll probably have that on the blooper reel on Sunday.
Here's you, here's Matt, there's you, there.
We're only laughing so hard because we rolled Grant's McGlinchey highlight reel or montage, and Christy Wilson thought it was a Nick Mullins like tribute video, and we're like, no, watch the right tackle, Mark McGlinchey. I don't even know if it's Mike, Mark, whatever his name is, but MacGyver. I don't know who it is.
Oh.
But either way, though, folks, Grant Cohn, 49ers reporter for SI, will join John Mathis, Isaiah Leung, and myself on Thursday at 5:30 in the afternoon or evening to talk the Niners and maybe talk more about it. Maybe we can have Grant make a Isaiah Leung montage of all of his bad takes and stuff like that. That would be glorious. Am I right?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Trevor, I think you're in agreement of that.
I'm definitely in agreement. I need the music in the background to be perfect. That's the thing I'm really curious about. What is it?
The Titanic music.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, so now here's a video of all of Isaiah Leung's terrible takes set to the Titanic music. That'll be glorious if Grant can put that together for us. But again, folks, Grant Cohn, Sports Illustrated beat writer for the 49ers, joins the program on Thursday here inside of the MI6 Sports Network. And again, as a reminder, folks, the night shift will be on air on Saturday and on Sunday. With the folks here to keep on with day 6 and day 7 of the Network Bracket Challenge coming your way on Saturday and Sunday. Christy actually disapproves. He says, please, no, my heart will go on. Who doesn't want to hear Celine Dion, though? Come on now.
Far wherever you
Oh, man, that is going to be glorious if and when that happens. But again, folks, for Trevor Williams and Isaiah Leung, yours truly, Callan McClurg, saying goodnight here on this Friday. Again, folks, night shift back in action Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock Pacific time to continue on the ongoing lunacy that is the 31 days of Network Hot Takes. Again, tomorrow, as mentioned, Ryan and Isaiah, once again, part 2 of their previous matchup again is Matt Stafford, a top 5 quarterback, or will Isaiah storming off the set because of the Warriors selecting James Wiseman to be ranked or win out your vote on Saturday. With that, folks, till next time, have a good rest of your night. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. And so long. Till next time, folks. Good night. Bye-bye.
He had any. Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home. Yeah. 3-6, mafia. Whoa. Hey, yeah. Whoa. Say what? 3-6, mafia.